The Curtis Rick Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute. Together, they are the official healthcare and complete training team of the Sioux Falls Storm. The Curtis Rick Show on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Here's your host of the Curtis Rick Show, the voice of the Storm, the Silver Fox, Rich Roste.
And good afternoon. And welcome to the Curtis Riggs Show. This is the final Curtis Riggs Show of 2016. Hi, everybody. I'm Rich Roste. And coming up in the show today, we're going to be talking to the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs, about the Storm's United Bowl Championship win last Saturday over the Spokane Empire, 55-34. I've got some highlights. We're going to talk to the coach about that. Then we'll also have on the show today, we'll be speaking with Adam Brown, better known as Drizzle, at the Storm home games. And then we'll be talking to the MVP of the United Bowl, Lorenzo Brown. But coming up next is Jim Loria, Director of Corporate Partnerships on the Curtis Riggs Show, and it's proudly presented each week by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospitals, the Storm official healthcare team, and by Orthopedic Institute, the official Storm sports medicine providers. And all of it right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.
If you haven't been to Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill lately, here's what you're missing. Specialty burgers like the Mac Burger, creamy mac and cheese on top of a bacon burger, and the tastiest wings and handmade pizzas on the east side of Sioux Falls. Haven't spent happy hour at Eastway? Don't miss Twofers Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Deuces Wild Saturday and Sunday, 3 to 6 p.m. $2.75 well drinks and domestic beers. Miss a day at Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill, and you miss a lot.
The Storm Lightning Girls work hard. Weeks are filled with training, rehearsals, and appearances. So when it's time for the girls to unwind, they call Spa Utopia. Spa Utopia offers many types of massage, including deep tissue, fusion, hot stone, and raindrop therapy. They also help the girls look better than ever with eyelash extensions and microdermabrasion. Plus, when you purchase 4 services, you'll get your 5th service free. Spa Utopia, where your paradise begins. Just south of Bucks on Western, or call 605-215-1171.
The Sheraton Sioux Falls is proud to serve as the official host hotel for all IFL teams this season. With the finest hospitality amenities and spacious guest rooms anywhere in the region, let the Sheraton reserve your next overnight stay, business meeting, or luncheon. When you're making plans to come cheer on the Storm, enjoy our on-site restaurant and lounge before the game, an indoor heated pool and whirlpool for relaxation afterward. To make your reservations today, call 605-331-0100 or go to SheratonSiouxFalls.com.
When people think of Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats, what comes to mind is their 40 different flavors of brats and sausages, like Philly cheesesteak and taco, to name a couple, or their choice of Black Canyon Angus steaks, or maybe their ability to cater any event no matter how large or small. What may not come to mind is their incredible wood-roasted prime rib, hot and ready to go every Friday from 4 to 7. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 1 mile east of Walmart on East 10th. Stop out and get educated.
When you think rugged, when you think tough, when you think big, think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer Trucks. Redefining the road.
Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full experience entertainment center. Like us on Facebook and visit our website to learn more about the full experience at Eastway Bowl.
Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roste.
And welcome back to the final edition of the Curtis Riggs Show for 2016. And it's been quite a year. and especially quite a year off the field. And the guy to talk about that is the Director of Corporate Partnerships with the Sioux Falls Storm, Jim Loria. Jim, welcome back to the Curtis Riggs Show for the final show of 2016.
It's a pleasure, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing great. Jim, I got to say this. Last week at the United Bowl, the pregame show was without a doubt the most outstanding pregame show that I have ever seen of indoor football.
I'll go one step further, Rich. I would put it as one of the best I've seen in my 38 years going up to the National Hockey League and all over sports. And Matt Allen, give Matt all the credit, Matt DeHaan, and for doing what he did. To put that together less than a week. That was the scary part, to put all that together in less than a week. And then Eric Van Beek, who's been just an amazing speaker, who does all of our ceremonies for us, and he just gives you goosebumps when he speaks. And then the singer, who is from I think he owns the Rain Real Estate Company.
That's right.
And that was just goosebumps. I mean, you talk about as comparable of what Lee Greenwood did. You could just see the audience when they rose. I mean, it just brought all the emotions out of people, and I had goosebumps running through my veins when he was singing. It was incredible. I agree with you. It was an amazing sight to see.
Yeah, Rain Jerky is his name, and he has.
There you go. Yeah.
And a fantastic singing voice, great entertainer, and he duplicated Lee Greenwood's "God Bless the USA" like I've never heard anybody else. And
I agree.
And having all of the law enforcement out there holding the flag, and then not having enough. So the Sioux Falls Storm team and coaches and trainers all went out to help. I get choked up even thinking about it.
It was amazing, Mitch. There's a photo somebody captured it. I don't know if it was Tom Slattery, our photographer. It was on Facebook. I saw Matt had posted it originally, and I know I put it on mine. And that photo just absolutely sums up the entire event. And I think people have more likely seen it by now, but it is one worth having as a memory's sake, and I just shake my head, as you said, too, but that was a night I'll never forget.
And when we talk about, what was said, Eric Van Beek and what he had said about the unity and coming together, and, we don't have the division here. We don't want it, and we're not going to stand for it, and we're going to keep the unity here. I just thought it was fantastic. The whole thing was just well done.
It was, and he's such a great speaker. Like I said, he gives me goosebumps when I'm on the field with him when he talks to the kids, and the other ones we've done the charitable events for, and he's right from the heart. It's not scripted, he just speaks right from the heart, and he's got a gift for it, and we're lucky to have him do all that for us. Also,
you had a tremendously successful fundraiser. Tell us about that.
Well, this one really, it really hit home. This is a little boy, 13-year-old, and who's unfortunate to have his left leg, not the whole leg, but from the calf down. He's going to have it amputated next month up at the Rochester Mayo Clinic. And he was a football, basketball player, enthusiast at 13. And he was playing basketball, and he had his foot was hurting, and he went to some medical attention. They gave him some shots and things, thinking it was going to take care of itself, and it never did. And when he went back again, they found that he had a cancer. It's a certain cancer that children. It's more of a pediatric, adolescent cancer that goes into your bones, and he has it, and it's one of those that's not going to go away. And so the only way to really maintain that it doesn't spread is to amputate. So we did the fundraiser for him. It was Dylan Barassa, and $18,000, Rich, in 1 week. I mean, it was amazing when you saw the parents, the family, the Storm fans. Everybody came through for this boy, and he actually was in the hospital all week. I did not know that part of it. And then he had to be given permission. He had a 3-hour window that the hospital granted him to come out. He wanted to get the Storm game, and he showed up, and you could tell. I mean, he looked just like you could tell things were like he was under medication and all that, and he was at the game. It was really cool, and it was one of those. I put it on my Facebook. It was one of those moments, Rich. I only worked with the mom and the dad, so I did not work with the son. And so when I was up on the concourse, I was coming upstairs to go back to the area, which would have been the silent auction location. I'm coming around the corner, and this young boy, I saw the dad, and so this one boy starts trying to run. He was having a hard time because of his leg, He was like a galloping a little bit. And he comes running up, and he jumped into my arms. And then I realized it was Dylan. And I said, Dylan, it's you. And he looked up, he goes, and he gave me this hug, and he squeezed me, and he went, thank you, like that. And all of a sudden, I held him, I put him down, and his dad reached up to us, and he said, Jim, meet my son Dylan. And I put it on Facebook. It was full of moments, man. I get tears thinking about it. It was a priceless moment. And I said to myself, that's why we do what we do.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
You know, and I was like, oh, that was cool, you know, and it's a great family. And our fans, I can't thank the Storm fans. You know, Rich, when I tabulated the whole year, that number is up to 131,000 for this 10 games only. I mean, 131, it's nuts, you know, and the amount of people it's helped, and it's a great feeling for all of us to know that we helped this community and beyond, and we'll keep doing it next year. And so, and it's just something that's my favorite part of the job, bar none.
Talking with Jim Loria, Director of Corporate Partnerships with the Sioux Falls Storm on the Curtis Riggs Show. I hear there's something in the works during the month of September. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, as you recall, during the year, you know, we had an education scholarship program that we created. It was a very, very successful one. We gave away close to $5,000 in scholarships, and well, we want to fundraise for it to make sure that never goes away, and we want to increase it. Well, about a month ago, the Pasica family had approached me, and they wanted to know if there's ever something that we would consider doing for Quinn's memory, you know, at any other time, just beyond the games. And I mentioned this to Katie and David, the husband and wife, and I said, you know, funny you say that. I said, it's been in my head for the last 2 years since I've been with the Storm to do something that's in our off season, like a signature event, something we can create that keeps us active in the off season. Because right now, starting today or Monday, our season doesn't have events going forward, you know, and so when we met, I told her, I said, you know, this is something I would love to do, is to create like a family fest event. And so she said, do you have any ideas? I said, you know, let's give me a week here, we'll get back to you. Well, I went and met with Thunder Road. I thought of all the places in town. I looked up on the website. They're open through October. This would be the most natural setting. It's got the amusement rides and all kinds of things for families. It's a mini golf course, you know, go-karts and everything. And so we met with the ownership at Thunder Road, and they were absolutely delighted to have a Storm Day. And so we're going to create it'll be a fundraiser for scholarships is what we're going to raise the money for. It'll be a day in Quinn's memory. It's 11 to 3, September 24th. It's a Saturday. School's in play, which is good. So we researched all the football schedules first before we chose the date. We found out that USD, FDSU, all the colleges do not play on that Saturday during the daytime, none of them. And so it's the most perfect time to do it. There's no competition in terms of entertainment. It's a family fest. It'll be for moms, dads, kids. We're going to get a special price where you can ride the rides, play golf, you know, have some of our players and cheerleaders there, and all the proceeds from whatever happens on that 3-4 hour window will be put away into the scholarship fund so that we can do more for the students next year. So anybody here that has your son or daughter going to a middle school, elementary school, have their principals call me, because there's a lot that they can gain by being involved with the Storm like we did last year.
Well, I tell you what, Jim, it just continues to grow, all of the things that you are doing, the Storm is doing within the community, and I thank you so very much. It has been a great year.
Well, Rich, you're welcome. I appreciate what you do. I mean, you've put in a lot of time. I don't think our fans know how much you put in, and we appreciate you so much. I don't know we say it enough, but we do.
Thank you so much. Jim Loria, Director of Corporate Partnerships with the Sioux Falls Storm. When we come back, and this segment's been brought to you by Boyer Trucks, when we come back, we'll talk to the head coach about United Bowl 2016, and you're listening to this broadcast of the Curtis Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.
The Sheridan Sioux Falls is proud to...
What's the smart way to refresh your home? Get inspired by Granite Transformations. See how easy it is to transform your kitchen or bathroom with gorgeous quartz and granite backed by our lifetime warranty. Plus custom cabinet refacing, all without the mess of a traditional renovation. Explore the exciting possibilities at the New Look, New Style celebration happening now at Granite Transformations. Schedule your free in-home design consultation today.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roste.
And welcome back to the final Curtis Riggs Show of 2016. Oh, it's been quite a year. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. Coach, congratulations on the 10th championship, the 6th in a row. Your United Bowl victory, 55-34 over the Spokane Empire. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations to you too, Rich. I mean, you're definitely an intricate part on all of those. I mean, you've been with us from day one, so it's definitely congratulations to you likewise.
Well, it's been a hoot and a half for me. There's no doubt about that. And this game the other night was very interesting. We're going to talk about it during the first two segments with you, and then in the last segment we'll talk about what's coming up for the Sioux Falls Storm in the offseason and the players and exit interviews and things like that. But in this first segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the game, have some highlights. And one of the things that people didn't maybe realize, that emotions got pretty high before the game even started. When things like that happen, and that's something that's probably going to be addressed in the offseason, could penalties or even ejections been imposed during that type of confrontation?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, in fact, it got to at one point the referee, and people probably didn't know he was the referee because he was out on the field in a suit. He said if any players cross the 25-yard line, they're automatically ejected.
Wow.
And yeah, it's well within his realm to be able to do that. And he was very bothered that, that was on his watch, and he made sure to come to both locker rooms and just remind coaches, address with the players that there's not going to be any of this crap during the game. I will not tolerate or allow it to happen. And it was great. I was right there with him, and I said, yes, definitely. If any of my guys do anything, flag them immediately. We don't want that to be a part of the product on the field for our fans to see.
That was Jim Schaefer, the head referee. There was the crew out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. They always control the game very well. They've been the highest-rated officiating crew in the IFL. Tom Falcinelli, the director of officials, was at the game. I saw him go down to the field and talk to the officials, and I have to believe he was quite pleased the way that crew controlled that contest.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I thought they had very good control of the game, and the way they communicate and manage, they do an outstanding job.
When you think back in this game, there was just a couple of critical parts of it, but this first highlight could very well be the most critical play of the game. It's going to bring up second down and only about a yard to go. So the penalty pushes it down to the Sioux Falls Storm 22-yard line. 28 seconds left to go in this first quarter. The Empire leading over the Sioux Falls Storm 7-0. And time of possession in this contest very much in favor of the Empire. If they can connect on this series and get a 14-point advantage, that'll set the tone for the rest of this contest. Now Dowdell puts two in motion to the left side. Gives the handoff to Pierce. He fumbles the football. Scramble forward. It's picked up by the Sioux Falls Storm. The first turnover of the contest. And coming up with it is Tyler Knight. And that was just a critical play in that contest early.
It really was. I mean, you get up 14-0, and you just start to get so much more confidence, and who knows how. It definitely wouldn't have been the first time we would have been behind, so I don't think there would have been a lot of panic. But you just don't know how the ebb and flows of the game could change. And, I think we were a much better team than Spokane, but a play like that can just be demoralizing because now instead of going up 14-0, we tie it, and you're like, oh, gosh, we're in a dogfight here now.
Well, the Storm did capitalize on the turnover with this play. More importantly, it is a first down and goal now from the 1-yard line. The Empire leading over the Sioux Falls Storm 7-0.
12-17 to play in the first half. Extremely low-scoring first half of indoor football. Now, Corey Williams split deep on the right side, the short side of the field. There's the snap. Lorenzo Brown's going to run with the football, but he's going to be brought down there by Haig. No, check that. It's going to be Bowers. Brett Bowers out of the University of New Mexico. Drug down. No, they're going to say touchdown. Delayed call. Touchdown, Lorenzo Brown. Oh, my.
And I was anticipating that there was going to be down at the 1 yard line, and then the side judge from the near side came across and he indicated touchdown. Tell us about that play.
Yeah, and really he did a great job. He came sprinting across. He saw the ball cross the goal line, but he wanted to make sure that Lorenzo didn't hit the wall and was out of bounds. And so he came running across, and you heard him clear as day for all the players and coaches right there. You know, did he hit the wall? Did he hit the wall? And the headlinesman said no. The line judge then right away raised his hands for a touchdown.
And the Sioux Falls Storm, tied the contest at that point. It was just a great time for that to happen. And we'll talk more about Lorenzo Brown. He was named the MVP of the game, but he really basically showed the country that he was the MVP of the league. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't want to take anything away from Charles McCollum.
No,
I think he put up some video game style numbers, but you know what? He didn't win a big game. He really was lackluster when he got called upon in the playoffs, and that's when I think MVP, that's when they stand out amongst everyone else. And when we said, guys, we are now in the playoffs with 4 weeks left in the regular season, and we said every game is a playoff game from this point on. I mean, Lorenzo's play just got better and better and better. And I think that's really the true mark of an MVP.
You're listening to this segment brought to you by our great friends over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, and they have the best bread in town. Now with the Storm trailing 13-7, this happened.
And splitting to the near side, Mike Tatum. He's been fairly quiet in the last couple of ball games. I look for him to be kind of the silent dog coming up big in the second half. And now Caleb Hawley split to the left side. Back to pass. Here's the pass looking for Tatum. He caught it into the end zone. Touchdown. He didn't even wait till the second half. He gets a touchdown, and the Sioux Falls Storm have tied it at 13.
Mike Tatum on the night, 2 receiving touchdowns, 84 yards. One was a new record-setting touchdown in the United Bowl, 49-yard touchdown receptions to start the second half. But Mike Tatum on that touchdown reception from Lorenzo Brown.
And that was a adjustment that we made. We had ran a play earlier, and we saw the way they were lining up, and we made a quick adjustment and just a quick call that we could catch them. We knew we'd get them in a certain formation. And Lorenzo just made a great throw and got the easy touchdown there. And then, the one coming out of the half was Coach Wilson and Terrence and I on the headsets, we all thought Caleb was the guy wide open. Then all of a sudden you see Lorenzo launch it across the field, and there's Mike wide open. So thankfully the quarterback doesn't always listen to his coaches, because I thought for sure, hey, Caleb's wide open. And, that was an exciting play.
We were talking to Lorenzo Brown, or he made a comment, I think, at the press conference about, sometimes being on your wrong side, and he appreciated every bit of that because it made him better throughout the course of his career, especially this year.
Yeah, he and I have a long relationship going back to when we recruited him to come to USF, and then just the incredible career he had at USF, and then when we brought him into the Storm as a receiver, and then just his maturation as a person and as a quarterback. We really go a ways back, and he's gotten the best of me, that's for sure. I mean, I've given him everything I have at times, and he takes it. He doesn't like it, but he takes it, and that's really another mark, I think, of an MVP.
Well, the Storm defense forces a field goal attempt, and that failed. But then in the ensuing drive, this happened.
9 seconds left to go till halftime. We are tied at 13. The Storm have the ball, 3rd down and 7 from the 11-yard line. Lorenzo Brown puts 2 in motion, looping around to the right side. Back to pass. Tons of time. Pumps one, throws again. End zone. Caught! Touchdown! The same play. This one right in the midsection of Corey Williams. Touchdown, Sioux Falls Storm.
And, scoring right before the end of the half is a huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah, especially, you get the ball first in the second half. And we just missed on a play similar to that. So we just changed our formation a little bit, ran the same play, and Corey and Zoe connected on that one. And, the guys that really created that play and the first play of the second half, the offensive line.
Yes.
I mean, you watch it on playback, and Lorenzo has just got all day. And it's not all day with people all around. And there's no one even near him. I mean, that's how well they protected him.
Tell us about that offensive line. Mania Smith, Charlie Sanders, and Sean Bryant.
All 4 of them are first-team All-League guys in my mind. I mean, Mania and Charlie get all the publicity because they've been playing so long. But, we'd rotate Mungro and Kyle, and we rotate them every two series because we feel like they're equally first-team All-League guys. It was funny because Mungro came up to me right after the first drive, and he's like, "Hey, how do you want to do this?" And I'm, do it the same way we always do it. I mean, you guys are, either one of you guys keep rotating, or if you're scared, don't go out there. And he kind of looked at me like, how dare you say that to me? But
I've seen that look on Mungro's face.
yeah, it's kind of like back when Nate Shire would look at you.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, I said something wrong here.
Yeah.
And it's not like Zoe. Zoe will try to look away, and not Mungro's going to look at you like, what did you just say? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go on the field now. Yeah.
Yeah. Sean Mungro and Kyle Bryant. I always say Sean Bryant. For some reason, I got that name stuck in my head.
That I can't figure out why you would have that one in your head.
Well, Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the rest of the contest. I got a couple more highlights, and we'll talk about that. But you're listening to this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli, fresh subs. Longtime Storm sponsors. Check it out. Best bread in town, just north of Vera McKinnon Hospital on Cliff Avenue. We'll be back right after this.
When temperatures are cold, your
people that I work with are family. We get more time with the patients to deliver that personalized care.
I know that our patients are satisfied and happy with their outcomes.
And I've had more than one patient say to me, I can really feel that you guys like being here and taking care of patients. And that's wonderful to hear, because that's the truth.
We give the best care in the world.
And just a better overall experience for the patient.
And that's why I chose to come work here at Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roste.
And this segment of The Curtis Riggs Show brought to you by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge. And they've been great sponsors and partners all season long. That's where the Storm viewing party is. And we thank Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge for their continued support. We're visiting with the Storm head coach Curtis Riggs on the Curtis Riggs Show, and we're talking about the United Bowl, where the Sioux Falls Storm were victorious over the Spokane Empire, 55-34. And after that second half started, the Storm got that long touchdown, Brown to Tatum, and then Spokane came back with a long touchdown of their own. But then the Storm put together a long drive that ends with this play.
And he's going to be split wide and deep to the right side. Near side deep is going to be Tatum. He'll go in motion through the box. Lorenzo Brown keeps the football, dives into the end zone, touchdown, Sioux Falls Storm. Lorenzo Brown gets his second rushing touchdown of the contest.
One thing about it, and Lorenzo Brown set the standard for the entire league with his rushing. Having a quarterback that gives you the numbers of a running back is a tremendous weapon for you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, especially down in the red zone. You're able to create numbers and schemes where offensively you have an advantage. And, you know, when you have just a quarterback and a running back, now the defense really has the advantage. And you got to hope that, hey, if we can get in this, maybe we could break a tackle and get in the end zone, or maybe we can, you know, have some type of gadget play and trick them, or, you know, some type of deception. But with a running quarterback, just like that play right there, we came out in our empty set that we usually fly sweep, and we just ran it straight ahead. I mean, we had the numbers, we attacked right away, and our offensive line just pushed the D-line back, and we followed right behind them.
Well, after that, there was a 13-play drive by Spokane that used almost 8 minutes off the clock, and then this happened.
4th down and goal from the 15-yard line. Dowdell puts two in motion, empty backfield. He's back to pass. Here comes Davis. Gets away from Davis, rolls right all the way back to their own 20-yard line. He's going to throw for the end zone. Over the head, incomplete. And the Storm's going to take over on downs on the 15-yard line. No flags on the field.
You know, throughout the highlights that we've been talking about your offense. But the Storm defense held a team that scores 50 points a contest, held them to 34. They got that stop after that long drive. That was a huge loss for Spokane to control the ball that long, come up empty, and not only that, give the Storm great field position that you wound up scoring on. Your defense had a tremendous contest.
They did, and they continued to make it really difficult for Spokane to score in that red zone. And you could see the frustration, because I can't imagine that Coach Shackelford wanted to take a delay game. You know, at that time, I thought they had a manageable 4th down. Then they take the delay game. I thought they would kick a field goal at that point. They opted to go for it, pretty much like, we need some help here. Let's make a play and hope we can stay in this game. And the defense just never gave them a chance.
Sioux Falls Storm win this contest 55-34. I had some other highlights I wanted to bring in, but because of time and we have a couple more guests and things that we want to get accomplished, I'm going to forego those tonight or this afternoon. But I wanted to mention one of the things that I was going to have a highlight that Brandon Johnson-Farrell had a great reception for a great return. The thing about it is, we've talked a lot about Lorenzo Brown, but his cast of characters around him just made his job even easier because they were so successful.
Well, I think that's such a great way of describing them, cast of characters, because that's definitely what they are. They're all unique in their own regard. You know, Mike's very flamboyant, outspoken, and BJ's very quiet and reserved, and Corey, great personality, and all of them, Caleb, but they all play for each other. And you saw when BJ was running, I mean, we asked a lot of Corey and Mike and Caleb to come down and crack on Nick Hague, and they did an outstanding job. They were great. And that's really what made those guys special this year, is each one of those guys could be an individual number one guy for other teams. But with us, they're willing to take that back seat and run the ball here and there, catch a pass here and there, and block for each other.
Mike Tatum had 2 receiving touchdowns. Caleb Holly had 1. Corey Williams had 1. BJ had 1 reception for a total of 15 yards. The Storm had 319 yards of total offense, 161 yards through the air, and had great night rushing again, 158 yards on the ground, and that continues to set the tone for the Sioux Falls Storm in their wins. The running game has been outstanding these last several years.
It has, and you know, it does help the defense, because I mean, this game we didn't get the long, quick scores a lot of times, and we come out, we had a long drive after they got a quick touchdown, and it's nice to know that, hey, the offense can go out and run that ball, not necessarily use a lot of clock, but go out there and wear down that other team. And that's what our D-line has always been so good about, wear down that offensive line. Now you see our offense really taking that same mentality when we get into that fourth quarter.
One final question about this team and about this game. Looking back on it, how will you remember the Sioux Falls Storm team of 2016?
Well, I talk so much about how just this year there was never any quit in these guys. I mean, I use resilient so much when describing these guys, and I think that's still the best way. I mean, they will put themselves in such unusual situations, and it's usually self-driven. I mean, they did it to themselves, and as coaches, we just wanted to pull our hair out at times. But then they find ways to and usually it would be coming together. Hey, let's come together here and get out of this, and they would. And I've never seen a team that could consistently do that. Usually teams can do it occasionally, and then you lose sometimes because of it. This team rarely. I mean, the one loss in Cedar Rapids, they really had a special year.
Was it easier to coach the last half of the season than the first half?
It was, Rich. It really was. And I think Coach Hermanson would say the same thing. I think defensively the guys really started to click. I mean, you said it numerous times that the last 3 or 4 games the defense was playing the best you'd seen them play all year. And the same thing offensively. We really everyone was like, yep, what are we doing? Okay, here we go, let's do it. And Lorenzo especially. I mean, that guy quit trying to always have the glory plays and was willing to just take what they give, and when it's there, we'll score.
And willing to take the hit.
He was. Boy, he is a tough cat. I mean, he took some shots, and I thought the 2 calls by the officials, were big calls, but when you watch them on film, they were the right calls. The DB Robinson came right up, head-to-head, hit Mike right in the head. And then Haig, when he blitzes, he comes through and he hits Lorenzo right in the head. And Lorenzo took a lot of those this year, and he stood in there. He would take that shot, hold it till the last second, and give his receivers a chance.
Those were, spectacular, but the one that scared me the most was when he got kind of bent up backwards next to the near wall below where I was broadcasting, and he just looked like he was being bent the wrong direction.
Yeah, he and Mike Tatum both had one of those. I mean, Mike had one, and Mike hobbled off, and it was 3rd down the next play, and we called timeout, and we asked Mike on the sideline, hey, can you come back in? And he's like, well, yeah, do you guys really need me to? And I'm like, well, I'm asking, can you come back in? And he goes, well, I better sit this out. After the game, I told him that Commissioner Allhouse said, if Tatum would have came back in that play, he would have got MVP. And that's not true. But Mike was he was livid. I mean, you know him, Rich. It's kind of like what you did to me with Tim Brown.
Yeah.
Mike was like, oh my gosh.
Oh.
And I thought Mike had a great game, great game, but Lorenzo was very deserving of the MVP.
I tell you what, Allshouse just threw out the line, hooked him, and drug him in with that one.
Oh, yeah, just like you did to me.
I guess I did. Well, Coach, we'll come back to you after a bit, and we'll talk about what's coming up for the Sioux Falls Storm and Curtis Riggs.
All right, thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs, and you're listening to this segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl, Eastway Lounge, right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1, KWSN.
We all know
Your body, a remarkable network of bone, tissue, and joints working in perfect harmony. But when injuries occur, that process can be interrupted. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. We work to get you up and moving again, recreating that perfect harmony, whatever that may be for you. Orthopedic Institute, we're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Breathe easier when you have your ducts cleaned by Waterbury. Call us today. Routine services can save you money in the long run. Call Waterbury to schedule yours today.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roste.
And this segment brought to you by our friends at Wingstop of Sioux Falls. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience. They gave away a ton of tickets all season long, and we thank Wingstop of Sioux Falls for that. Joining us via the fan line, his name's Adam Brown, but a lot of people know him more as Drizzle. Adam, thanks for being on the Curtis Riggs Show.
Hey, thank you so much, Rich. Appreciate you for having me.
How long have you been the character Drizzle?
This is my 6th season. I started that about 6 years ago, right when we first we won back to our first championship back after we lost to Billings, and then I started right after that. And then ever since, it's been 6 years in a row champions.
Well, the thing about it is what people don't realize that you have been in the entertainment industry for a very long time. You were a part of the Barney TV show for quite some time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's correct. I was there actually down in Dallas playing in 2 of the characters in the Barney and Friends show. Was there for 5 years on a national PBS television show. And also before that, I was out in New York on Broadway. I did it for 15 years, live Broadway theater and stuff. So, yeah, I've done from TV to theater, almost over 20 years now of entertainment. So it's been worthwhile. So. And
for the last 2 winters, you've been a part of Disney's show on ice down in Biloxi, Mississippi. Tell us about that.
I was down in Biloxi, Mississippi at the Beau Rivage, the MGM Grand. It's affiliated with one out in Las Vegas. We did a holiday on ice with Santa Claus and a bunch of professional skaters, and I was one of the main characters, one of the main elves out there. We did it for 2 years and stuff, and we did it was great. It was half of ice and then half a stage, and then that way, and then the audience was wrapped around the ice, so you got kind of more of the real experience of the Christmas, and they light up the whole stage and the ice and stuff. So it was really neat to be a part of that, and whole different thing than what I did from New York. But I was part of the show I was on with ice skates, and then part of it I was on just regular shoes. So just different experiences from the crowd interaction and stuff. So it was very neat.
Well, one thing about it, the 6 years that you have been with the Sioux Falls Storm, you have been a crowd favorite, and what you have done on the field has been just a tremendous addition for the entire family event and the family-friendly atmosphere, and having you as Drizzle has been just an outstanding ride, and we just thank you so very much for that.
Yeah, great when I met Todd, way back when we first started and stuff, and I kind of threw something, at him and, about this, character and stuff, because they've had Blizzard and Big Bear and all that stuff. And then we created this character, and it just kind of went, boom. And, the kids, the main thing of it is seeing the kids, eyes and smiles light up and coming up to me, getting a hug and a picture and everything. And it was a change going from the old, arena to the new one and stuff, just the, different atmospheres and different, crowd experiences and stuff. And I think, just to go out there and, put a smile on a kid's face or an adult's face and then cheering up the crowd, getting the crowd going. And just that's kind of that's one thing I'll miss, with that and everything. And it's been a great, privilege, with Todd and Eric and the whole staff and you, of course, being able to share this experience, with the Storm Nation family.
Well, one thing about it, I wanted to let you have a chance. You have an announcement relative to Drizzle.
Yeah, I'm going to be ending after my 6th national championship. I'm going to be ending as Drizzle and stuff. It's hard to go, but my mind wants to go, but my body is saying it's time to slow down and time to move on to some other things. But I will still be a part of the Storm Nation family. I will still keep in touch and be involved and everything, but the Drizzle, is kind of come to an end and stuff. And, I hope it, kind of continue as a tradition and, with the Storm and the whole game day staff. And hopefully someone can come up and still keep going with the next season and everything. But, yeah, it's when it's time and stuff. So I think after Saturday, and I'm so glad I got to go on a winning note. And, from a 6th straight for the Storm and everybody, it's good to go on a good note, as they say.
Well, we're talking to Adam Brown, who portrayed Drizzle. with the Sioux Falls Storm for 6 years. But Adam, I got to tell you, the one favorite memory I have of you on the field,
Yes.
there was a time that they had big beach balls out there. And they were
Oh, yeah.
floating around, and there was one and you were just walking kind of away from the action, and all of a sudden you just ran up on it and kicked it. And it just absolutely took off. It was like, here I am. I'm this little person over here that is not getting the recognition. So it was kind of like the frustrated bear goes up and kicks the ball, and it just was a perfect part of the routine.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it was two contestants playing a game. Actually, was it?
Oh, that could
and
be.
And then one kicked it out of the way, and I guess he wasn't playing fair, just to kind of entertain the crowd. And so I went up there and kicked his ball and stuff in the whole crowd, and then I think that's when you caught it too as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, kind of have to make good moments in there, and just to kind of entertain, on those little promotions and stuff. So yeah, definitely that was I'll never forget that one for sure.
Well, I tell you what, Adam, thank you so much for all that you have done for the Sioux Falls Storm. You've made a lot of people's lives happier because of what you have done.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, from the bottom of my heart, and thank you, Storm Nation, the fans, for sure. Thank you and the staff and everything, and we'll definitely, always have a place in my heart, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Very good. Thank you very much for being on the Curtis Riggs Show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Adam Brown, also known as Drizzle with the Sioux Falls Storm production team, game day production team for the Sioux Falls Storm. Coming up next, we'll be talking to the MVP of the United Bowl 2016, Lorenzo Brown. And you're listening to this segment brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls, More Than a Meal. It's a flavor experience. Back right after this.
Hey, you there, in your car. Let's.
Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full experience entertainment center. Like us on Facebook and visit our website to learn more about the full experience at Eastway Bowl.
When you think rugged, when you think tough, when you think big, think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer Trucks. Redefining the road.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roste.
And welcome back. This segment of the Curtis Riggs Show brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience. Great sponsors all season long. And joining us via the fan line, he is the MVP of United Bowl 2016, Lorenzo Brown. Zoe, thanks for being on the Curtis Riggs Show.
What's up, Rich? Thank you.
Congratulations to that honor, but it was exceptionally well earned in the way that you managed the entire ball game. And that's one of the things I think that people don't realize. They look at statistics, but they don't understand the management of how you controlled your offensive part of the field.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. We had a game plan, we executed it, and it was a really good job by all the guys on both sides of the ball.
One of the things that you talked about when I had you on the show a couple of weeks ago was about taking the offensive line out to Carnival Brazilian Grill, and I saw what you had posted on Facebook. You guys had a great time, but, you live by what they do, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Those guys, it starts up front. They open up holes for the run game. They protect me like a wall for the pass game, and it starts with them. And I'm greatly appreciative that they're on my side to help me out.
From the start of this season, not previous seasons, but just this season, to the end of the season, the maturity that you have exhibited has been outstanding. I say that in all sincerity, that you've matured as a quarterback. What changed that caused you to be able to make the change within yourself and how you played?
Honestly, I had to just take it upon myself to grow as a quarterback. I mean, last year I relied on veteran receivers to, help guide me to the success that I had. And this year we had a lot of new faces, and I just had to make sure I was on top of my game and, listen to all the coaching I was getting coached by Coach Riggs and Terrence, and just try to just perform well on a week in and week out basis. And I think I achieved that.
How difficult is it for you as a quarterback to be out there to not try to force the ball with a pass, but to either throw it away or just to run and pick up a few yards just to keep the series going and not throw the ball into the hands of somebody else?
Well, in the beginning of the season, it's really difficult if you ask Coach Riggs. Just part of trying to come into my own. I think I was pressing too much in the season, trying to, just get home run balls and just being too greedy, honestly, and just letting the game come to me towards the end of the season, just taking what the defense gave me. I mean, listening to in practice, Coach Riggs and Terrence, there's nothing wrong with taking the 5-yard hitch or taking the check down or getting 3-4 yards on a positive run to get us in a 3rd and 4th down and manageable. And I just, took all that and, relied on my teammates to put us in good situations, and the result is another championship.
You've had a very blessed career, and we're talking to Lorenzo Brown of the Sioux Falls Storm, the quarterback, the MVP of United Bowl. You won 2 national titles at the University of Sioux Falls. You've come in the Sioux Falls Storm organization and gone from receiver, backup quarterback, to the starting quarterback, to the star quarterback, to winning national titles. What's ahead in the life of Lorenzo Brown?
Honestly, I just really blessed that I came away healthy, really. Last year I was battling a knee injury all year and finally got that cleaned up in the off season, and got through a 18-game season and just gonna relax and just take some time off and have a good, successful off-season program that I haven't had the chance to do in like 2 years. So I'm anxious for that, and we'll see where it goes.
You thinking about coming back?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna come back. Yeah, I've won 2 in a row, helped win the 6 in a row, and definitely got a lot more winning to do in the future.
You still got gas in your tank, I take it.
Oh yeah, I do.
Well, I tell you what, Lorenzo Brown, I thank you, and I thank the entire Sioux Falls Storm organization and the team, for what they've accomplished this year. But at the head of the line is the quarterback. It always falls on your shoulders. And what you've done, especially the last half of the season, the last 3-4 ball games, you have matured into the quarterback that I think Coach Riggs always thought you could become. And now it's for you to enjoy this time and prepare yourself again for another year next year.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, and it's always good being on the show with you, Rich. You do a really wonderful job, and I told you that my parents love listening to you on the radio when they watch the games back at home, and they were pretty mad that they couldn't listen to it with the championship game. But yeah, they definitely they get a kick out of you and your holy happy Hannahs, and I do hear it. So I appreciate it, Rich.
Very good. Thank you so much, Zoe. We'll see you down the road.
All right, thanks, man.
Lorenzo Brown, he is the MVP of United Bowl 2016. When we come back, we'll be talking to the head coach about the future of the Storm and the future for the head coach. And you're listening to this segment brought to you by Wingstop. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.
If you haven't been to Eastway Sports...
What's the smart way to refresh your home? Get inspired by Granite Transformations. See how easy it is to transform your kitchen or bathroom with gorgeous quartz in granite backed by our lifetime warranty. Plus custom cabinet refacing, all without the mess of a traditional renovation. Explore the exciting possibilities at the New Look, New Style celebration happening now at Granite Transformations. Schedule your free in-home design consultation today.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roste.
And this is the final segment of the final Curtis Riggs Show of 2016. And he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm. What a better way to end the entire season would be to talk with the head coach, Curtis Riggs. And, Coach, getting ready for the off season, how do things transpire as far as the players and going into the off season?
Well, the first thing we do, Rich, is we have our exit meetings with the guys, and we finished those up today. We had those yesterday and today. And so Tyler Peterson and I, we sit down with the guys and we talk to them about, a lot of the guys this year, it was thanking them for not just their play on the field, but more so thanking them for how they were off the field. We had zero issues, and they were really a great group in that regard. And so, we thank them for they're willing to go to appearances. They're willing to, go to these things to where we need some players to help with different things like reading at elementary schools or what have you. And then we go through, equipment, the season, their performance, what areas they need to improve on. Do they want to continue to play? Where's home? Where are they going to? What are they going to be doing? And we try to get through all of them and try to create a plan after that. What are we going to do now? What positions do we need to address or moving forward or what have you? And so Tyler has all that, and he's got the master plan of what he wants to do now.
And there probably are some players that will say, I want to come back, and others will say, maybe I'm done. And I won't go into those individuals, but did you have some of that this year?
Sure, yeah. I mean, you always have some that you always have ones that I for sure want to play, and then just life happens.
Yeah.
They get presented an opportunity that it's just time to move on from football. And Adonis Armstrong last year, he was ready to come back and play, and then he got engaged and thought, I need to move on with my life. And so we got that call, and those things happen. And then it happens the other way too. Guys say, you know what, I think I'm done playing. And they then 3 months later, they start to, I feel pretty good physically. I kind of have the itch again here. And so we get that too. So we try not to make any hasty decisions on a lot of those guys that are kind of going back and forth, and we give them some time to let that play out.
Coach, you've had 10 championships, 6 United Bowl championships in a row. You've won officially 199 ball games as a coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, head coach of the Storm. 201 if you count the suspension games. What's ahead for Curtis Riggs next year?
That's a lot of games, Rich. My wife told me that the other day, and I had no idea. And then I had no idea. She's like, this could have been over 200 if you hadn't had those 2 suspended. I'm like, holy cow. Well, I see that van driving around town all the time. Now, even more reason to kind of want to steer it off the road. But, I don't know, Rich. I made the comment yesterday on Craig and Chris, and I said I was in the last year of my contract, and I wasn't trying to hide anything, or as someone, it must have been brought up afterwards that I was trying to use it for leverage, and Rich, Todd and I have a great relationship.
Oh my, yes.
I don't need to try to use anything for leverage. We both have agreed that if we're going to do this, we're going to do it together, and we'll be very open about what we're going to do. And I was just open that I'm in my last year. I'm not sure, and there's other avenues that I'd possibly like to pursue, and I don't really like during the season when I'm coaching and my daughter's off at a dance competition and my son's off playing basketball somewhere, and that's not a lot of fun for me. But my family, though, is the ones that are they're so awesome. They're such troopers, and they love the Storm. That.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else in the organization does. And so we'll look at it. We'll definitely, Todd and I will sit down start to discuss, what he wants to do, what's his plan. I mean, I think that's first, what's he want to do. I think we have the Storm in a great situation where it's something to be extremely proud of. I mean, you've seen the development and growth evolve over the years, and then we'll decide. And so I think we'll just kind of feel how this plays out, and as some of the players make decisions, I too will have to make a decision. And I think no matter what, if it's me or if it's someone else, the Storm will be in great hands and in a very good situation in the best community and the best fans.
Coach, we've had a tremendous ride together. It has been an awesome for me to share in all that you have accomplished with the Sioux Falls Storm. And, if you ever decide to walk away from this, can I have your spot on the bus?
Yeah, the only difference between yours and I is you always end up having to have that darn garbage can right next to you. Yeah. So, I always thought I had the worst seat, though, because everyone always thinks you're the head coach. And so I thought you were designated in that spot. And then as we've had those seats, I've always thought, boy, I did luck out in this deal. That was great. Yeah.
Coach, have a great off season. Do what you need to do. Sometimes time is worth more than money. There's no doubt not about that. But great year. Congratulations. And we'll see you on down the road.
All right, Rich. Yeah, give Sue my best, and we'll bump into each other. And thank you for another great year.
You're very welcome, Coach. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, and this has been the Curtis Riggs Show. Our thanks to Jim Loria, Adam Brown, and Lorenzo Brown, and all of the players and guests that we've had on the show all season long. Special thanks today to the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. It has been a great season. The Storm finished with a record of 17-1. They won their 6th consecutive United Bowl championship and their 10th title overall in franchise history. Yes, it has been a very good year. The Curtis Riggs Show has amazing sponsors, and we thank Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, the Storm official healthcare team, Orthopedic Institute, the one to trust, Boyer Trucks, Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge, along with Wingstop of Sioux Falls. We all appreciate you bringing the Curtis Riggs Show to our listening audience. Thank you to John Michaels, our studio producer and engineer, not only for the Curtis Riggs Show, but also producing the Storm radio broadcast. And I also give a big thank you to Craig Medic and John Gaskins from Sports Talk with Craig and John for all of their coverage of the Storm during the season and our weekly conversations every Friday on their show. Thank you to Matt Gage of the Gage team for archiving and editing this Curtis Riggs Show and placing them on the Storm website. To see past shows along with the recordings of the Storm games, go to the Storm website, SiouxFallsStorm.com, click on Media, and then click on Stormcast. And to Jim Loria, thank you for being a regular on the Curtis Riggs Show, but more especially for all you are doing within the community on behalf of the Sioux Falls Storm and the over $250,000 you have been responsible for raising and for the betterment of so many lives. But a very special thank you goes to you, our listening audience, for making us a part of your day each and every Tuesday afternoon all season long. You are the reason this show is on the air. From a personal side, a sincere thank you to Storm head coach Curtis Riggs for his willingness to answer any question, for his openness to any suggestion or deviation in our broadcast format, but most especially for his friendship, something that means so very much to me. And finally, to Storm owner Todd Tryon, I say thank you for the privilege afforded me in being the host of the Curtis Riggs Show for these many years. And God willing, I'll be back next season. You've been listening to the Curtis Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. And to close out our year of Curtis Riggs shows, we have one more highlight to share. See you next year.
We're down to 3, 2, 1. The Sioux Falls Storm has won their 10th national championship and their 6th IFL championship in a row as they have defeated the Empire of Spokane, Washington, 55-34. 55-34 as the confetti comes floating down at the Denny Sanford Premier Center.